started exactly at 6:05. I need some music. I can send it. One more minute.
See if we can get that. Yeah.
Oh, it looks like I am live. So hi guys, I am Loans by Natasha, loansbynatasha.com. I am so excited today to share with you down payment assistance programs that you can stack. I am a loan officer licensed in 21 states. This grant is pretty much for our Cook County. There are other grants available in different states, but today, because I am in Cook County, we are talking about grants that are available in Cook County. I am going to tell you how you can have access to $45,000 in down payment assistance. I am excited about this grant because it's not just a grant where they are overcharging on interest rates. You guys will see a lot of loan officer advertise online, no money down, get into the property with no money down. But if you ask the question, how much is the rate on my second mortgage, right? If that rate is 13, 14%, and the rate on your first mortgage is a point or 0.5% higher, then is that money really free at the end of the day, right? So I go over a lot of grants. Some of them I don't like because I don't like people having to pay so much more money for the mortgage payment based on the fact that they received a grant. But today I actually checked the rates on this grant because we've been locking them in, and we were at 6.75 on FHA, which is pretty much in the range of the market. So I thought that was pretty cool. And there is a little option where you can buy down the interest rate if the clients choose to do so. So I'm going to get here on the next slide. Got it. So the Cook County grant, for those of you who don't know about the Cook County grant, $25,000 of this $45,000 is from the Cook County Down Payment Assistance Program. So we've been putting out the flyers and all of that good stuff so that way you guys can see. A lot of times with the grants, people think that it's unattainable. You have to wait a long time. The seller's not going to want to work with your client. Well, this is a grant that sellers will work with. They don't even have a second file set up. Everything is pretty much done through one file, which is a little unique to kind of what we've seen on a regular basis, right? And this grant could be the missing key for a client. The grant is going to give the client $25,000, and that's going to be 5% of the purchase price. So in order to get the full $25,000, they have to be purchasing a home for $500,000. 5%. $25,000. If they're purchasing a home for $200,000, then this particular grant will only give them $10,000. The exciting part about this grant, and I know my slide just left me there, but you only have to have a 620 credit score, right? 620 minimum credit score requirement, which is much lower than our IDA grant that people have heard about. And they are giving 5% for that down payment. FHA requires 3.5% down, so that gives the client a little extra capacity to be able to purchase that property with that grant and have a little bit of money left over to help towards some closing costs, or if you have to pay your broker some of your broker fees, right? The glory about this grant is there are targeted areas where there is no income limit. And I just looked up at a property for one of my agents with a $650,000 listing for a 2-unit, and it was in a targeted area. So this is somebody that can take advantage of the full $25,000 as well as utilize it to kind of get in that property. Normally for a purchase price of that size, someone would not qualify for a grant, but this grant was available for this particular property. Even though my client made $200,000 a year, they qualify for that property because it was in a targeted area. The non-targeted area, the income limit is $143,880. So what you guys need to know about that is that that's a lot of income. A lot of our grant programs, like one of the grants I'm going to tell you about today, they have much lower income limits. And this grant has the highest income limit of all the down payment systems I have associated myself with in the industry, this is the highest income limit that I have seen for clients to qualify. The program is only up to 2 units. So they can purchase a single family, they can purchase a 2 unit. They cannot purchase a 3 unit or 4 unit, but they can purchase a condo with this particular program. So any property that is a 1 unit or that is a 2 unit property can be utilized for this program. And remember, guys, the credit score is 620 for this particular program, where some of our other programs have needed a 640, right? So just want to go over the basics. I know I'm in repetition, but it is basically that simple and sweet. 620 credit score, 1 or 2 units, no income limit for targeted areas, right? No income limit. We can look those properties up for you and let you know if they're in a targeted area or not a targeted area. And then in addition to that, if they are in a targeted area, the client can make up to $143,000 and qualify for this particular grant. And just so you guys know, you don't even have to be a first-time home buyer. So you can purchase a property and you can get the grant, and as long as you don't have more than one other property. So you can have one other finance property and still get this grant, which is pretty impressive. Now, we have other grants like that, but the difference between this grant and some of our other grants that do allow the second property is this grant is given a true 5% towards the purchase price versus a standard number like $6,000 or $7,500. So definitely an awesome opportunity for your clients to take advantage of. Who is eligible for this grant? Once again, you don't have to be a first-time home buyer, right? Your intent has to be to occupy this property as a primary residence. There is a home buyer counseling class that the borrower will have to take. And keep in mind, this counseling class that they take is just like our other one. So they can do online classes. It is an 8-hour class, but it goes at the pace of the client. So some clients complete them faster than others, but they do have to get through the class so that way they can get to the finish line and obtain their certificate. So that makes them eligible for the program. Once again, you can purchase single families, 2-unit properties, or townhome and condominiums on this program, and we can include all of that and still get them the grant. There are a lot of properties that are in the targeted area. So if you have a client and they're making $200,000 a year and they really want this grant, I have a client that came in this weekend making about $175,000. The property was on 72nd and Exchange, new construction townhome for $399,000. It was in the targeted area. So he's going to qualify for, a good $20,000 of the grant. Once again, 620 credit score. He's negotiating the seller to pay some closing costs, and he's going to be able to get into that property with little or no money, even though he makes well over the income limit. So that's pretty awesome as well. And like I said, if you guys have questions, I do have someone watching the chat. Please feel free to drop your questions, but I definitely want to try to pre-answer those questions for you, so that way you can know everything you need, right? What can you use these funds for? You can use these funds for your down payment, right? When you purchase a house or your client purchases a house, they have down payment, they have closing costs. Some people are interest rate conscious. They just want to buy the interest rate down. Or many people have other grant opportunities, and any extra money that we get in grants, we use to knock your principal down. So that way you have equity in that home, right? So you can use the funds for down payment, closing costs, or buying down your interest rate. The benefits, right? That it's a grant, it's not a loan. You're not going to have a second mortgage that you're making a monthly payment and eventually paying this particular loan back, right? That's not going to happen. They are looking for you to live in the home for 5 years. So after 5 years, the grant is fully forgiven, right? And it's just a smart move for people that are living in Cook County. So this grant is for people that are purchasing in Cook County, and it is just allowing you to bridge the gap between, the difference in pricing you can use it for, and you can also utilize it to help you get to the finish line on having the funds you need at the closing table, so that way you can make your purchase sooner. I think there was about $8.6 million put into this grant, which, believe it or not, that's not a lot of money. So you definitely want to tie your clients in, or you definitely want to tie yourself into the grant as quickly as possible. If you guys have properties that are already under contract and you want a second opinion, of course, locking in that money, which you need to be under contract first, is going to be your guarantee your guarantee of getting the money. But definitely make sure that you see if you qualify or if it works for what you're trying to do. And hopefully this will help you expedite your purchase process, because these funds will run out. And I'm just being honest with you. It was more funds in the program last time, and I think the program went maybe 3 months. So definitely more people are talking about the program. I'm here to tell you about it now because I just don't want you to miss out on it just by a few days or a few weeks. Now we're going to talk about how we're going to stack, right? So we talked about the $25,000 down payment assistance program and the CHA grant. I call it the CHAC grant, but the CHA grant, they actually give $20,000 to their recipients. So if you know someone that is on Section 8, and that is something that's in Chicago, if they're on Section 8, they can get $20,000 in down payment assistance. They can get $20,000 in down payment assistance, or they can have Section 8 pay their mortgage, right? Just like they were on a voucher. So they will either pay their mortgage or they will give them $20,000. Well, in this particular situation, I recommend my people that are definitely on the Choose to Own program to allow CHA to pay their mortgage, right? Pay my mortgage. So that way I have something to leave people behind me and build that generational wealth. And now I can add that with the Cook County grant. So if you are a housing voucher person, right, then you can take the $25,000 that we're giving you from Cook County. And then instead of taking $20,000 to buy yourself out of the program, you now can say, hey, I'm going to opt out of this $20,000 and let Section 8 pay my mortgage, right? Because that's going to be more than $20,000 over those years. Now, say for instance that you are not a CHA voucher holder, right? You're not a Choose to Own voucher holder. CHA will give you $10,000 to purchase a home. Their program is a little different than Cook County, but I can stack them together. So let's talk about that. So the down payment assistance for CHA, there is no credit score requirement. A lot of people don't know that, but they don't have a credit score requirement. They do have a debt to income ratio requirement. So if you make $10,000 a month, they are expecting you not to have more than $4,500 in debt, including your mortgage. So on Cook County grant, you can have a higher debt to income ratio, but on the CHA, you have to have a 45% debt to income ratio. This program is eligible for 1, 2, 3, and 4 unit property. So if you're somebody that is in love with a 3 to 4 unit and you don't fit in the box for the Cook County program, you can fit in the box for CHA, right? We can use this for FHA, VA, and conventional. Unlike the Cook County grant, CHA, you have to be a first-time home buyer, okay? So once again, you have 2 different programs that are doing 2 different things that can be combined together to help you get the max money. If you qualify for a CHA grant and you are purchasing a 1 or 2 unit, you will qualify for the Cook County grant. But just because you qualify for the Cook County grant doesn't mean you will qualify for the CHA grant. And the reason is because the CHA grant has lower income limits. If you are one person household on CHA, the income limit is about $61,000, right? There is no targeted area situation that is happening with that CHA grant. With the Cook County grant, if you make $143,000 or less, you qualify, and you also qualify if you make more than that and you are in a targeted area. So the only way you can stack the 2 is if you qualify for both of them. So if you make $61,000, and I think with CHA, we could get that grid for you. If you have 4 dependents, I'm almost certain you can make up to $89,000. So if you meet the requirements for CHA and you meet the requirements for Cook County, and you're not in a Choose to Own program, you can qualify for $35,000 in down payment assistance. If you are in the program and you opt into the $20,000, then you can qualify for the $45,000. If I'm your loan officer, or even if I'm not, take my advice. Add up how much money CHA is going to pay in your mortgage over the time. And if it is more than $20,000, take advantage of utilizing the one program and getting your mortgage paid from CHA, because that's going to give you the larger money in the long run. And we're doing this for retirement, right? We're doing this, we're purchasing property for retirement, for wealth, for growth. So we want to make sure that we analyze and research all of our options to make sure we're choosing the best one at the time. And then you want to make sure you have a really good experienced real estate professional that can help negotiate the rest for you, depending on the property you're purchasing, because all negotiations are different depending on the properties. And I always let my realtors, which I have a lot of them on here today, speak in real estate advice, and I try to stick to the lending advice. Right, so we went over this. I know I have some slides here, but the just to reiterate, because that was a lot of information. So the CHA voucher, you know, either they're going to get $20,000 in down payment assistance, or they're going to pay the mortgage for them. CHA will pay the mortgage for them, right? If they are not a voucher holder, you can still qualify for $10,000, which we can stack with other programs such as the Cook County grant and get the $35,000 today, right? Let's see. And then we already talked about the income limits. The income limits on CHA is definitely, the income limits on CHA is definitely lower. They're almost half of the amount of what Cook County is allowing, but $25,000 is a lot of money. And let me tell you guys what's not a grant. What's not a grant is closing costs. So closing costs can be negotiated that the seller pays in addition to this $45,000. So if you were purchasing a house for $300,000 and the seller paid $15,000 towards closing costs, you would pretty much, if you got the $25,000, the $10,000, and $15,000, you're literally getting what, $60,000, $70,000 in costs altogether. And your closing costs you negotiate from the seller has nothing to do with the closing costs, the grants that we're talking about right now. We can also triple stack this grant. So I do a lot of grants for the University of Chicago. Any grants that are funded by the employer, we can stack that as well. So I know the university has some $10,000 grants. They have different programs in Woodlawn. If you qualify for any of those grants, we can stack those grants as well. The trick to it is knowing that they have to be self-funded. So if the university is going to award you with a grant and they're going to wire the funds to closing, I can include those funds in this same setup. So if you're getting another $20,000 from the university, then I can include that in this setup as well. And what I do is I look at the numbers to make sure you don't leave any money on the table. So then we would just put more money down. So that way you will just owe less and you'll benefit later. But first of all, you're paying a mortgage payment on less money. Two, you're walking into your property with even more equity because you're putting more money down on the property through all of the third-party programs. But there are a lot of employers that have different grants. As long as the employer is going to wire the funds and there's not an application or a lien on title, we can stack those grants with every single grant we talked about today on the call. Yes, ma'am. So that is pretty much my 2 grants. I can't see the group, the messages here, but if you guys have any questions, definitely let me know. But once again, the first grant, $25,000, that is our Cook County grant that I can stack with the CHA grant. The CHA requires 8 hours of education, as well as the Cook County grant. You can utilize the same certificate for both programs. We have a multitude of different units of the property where Cook County grant can go up to 2 units, while CHA can go over 4 units. The disadvantage, up to 4 units. The disadvantage of CHA is that you do have to have lower, you can't qualify over a certain income threshold. So you have to make sure that you meet the income qualifications for CHA, which are a little more strict than that of the Cook County grant. Yep. So if you guys are interested in applying for a mortgage or know anyone, what I do is a little different from some loan officers. We do request their pay stubs, their W-2s. I do a full underwrite. And then I also get the last pay stub from 23 and 24. That helps me get pre-approvals out within the hour. If you have clients or if you are a client and you're self-employed, tax returns are required, but you should always talk to your loan officer before you send over documents, because we do have some programs that only require 1 year. And you always want to set your file where it's the strongest. So that's something that we kind of strategically work on here on my team over here at Guaranteed Rate. So if you guys have any additional questions, feel free to let me know. Emeka, did we have any questions in the chat? I know I've been talking for a little while.
Yes, you do have a couple of questions. Ms. Val asked if you sold your home in 2022, are you considered a first-time home buyer?
Yeah, so if you have not been on a deed to any property, you are considered a first-time home buyer, as long as it's been a 3-year gap. So as long as that month in 2025 is within 3 years, you would be considered a first-time home buyer again. But even if you are not, you'll still qualify for Cook County.
Awesome. You have another question from Mr. Rodrigo. Do you provide services in Kansas?
Do I provide? I didn't hear you.
Do you provide services in Kansas?
I am not Kansas. I don't think I'm licensed in Kansas. I feel like I'm gotta get my geography together here. I'm not licensed in Kansas. I'm not. I can refer you to someone that is.
And then you have another question from Ms. Regina. Can you use this as a stackable with other grants that you've been awarded?
Depending on those grants, yes. So the IDA grant, no, because IDA, we run pricing for IDA, even though I talked to IDA and they do want to stack their grant with this, but IDA is locked directly through IDA and Cook County is locked directly through Cook County. So if it's not a situation where I have to lock through the person that's providing the grant, then I can stack them. So if the grant is self-funded from the institution and they're going to wire those funds and not require me to go through a certain interest rate in order to get those funds, like IDA has separate interest rates, Chenoa has separate interest rates, Equity Aid has separate interest rates. So I can't stack them with those. But like University of Chicago, I can. CHA, I can. So as long as it's self-funded by the institution, then I can stack the grant.
Okay, and then are you licensed in Michigan?
I am.
How long is this grant available?
Until the funds run out. So there's about $8.6 million for this grant. So once it runs out, then it'll run out. It ran out like maybe in October, and then they brought it back.
Okay, can you use these funds for purchase of multi-level property purchase?
Yes, so you can do a 1 or 2 unit property. And I had to check my geography. So I am licensed in Missouri for my Kansas City person. I had to check my geography there. I apologize. Threw me off.
Awesome. Those are all the questions at this time.
Well, I am excited that you guys all joined us today. I know some people had difficulties with the Zoom link, so we're definitely gonna send a recorded video out to everyone. If you guys need an opinion, if you have questions, we do a soft pull. So we do not pull credit on a hard pull unless a client wants to proceed. So we can work with the client and make sure that they actually qualify before we do the hard pull, especially if they're already under contract or in a second opinion situation. But we'd love to help your clients. My goal is to get this grant opportunity out to everyone. I will tell you, this interest rate on this grant is lower than any grant that I've seen in a very long time. I'm excited about it. I came to you guys tonight because I wanted to share it with you. But this is definitely the grant that you want to take advantage of if you really want to get in a property. And we're in Cook County, so to purchase a 2 unit can be $400,000, you know, $200,000 to $400,000. So you can definitely take advantage of majority of this money with the negotiation of a seller credit, having the ability to stack it with CHA. I mean, I don't know what we're waiting for owning. And I always tell my clients that if we don't purchase in the neighborhoods that we were born and raised, then we can't control them. So if we don't make our purchases and become homeowners and buy up our own land, they're going to be someone else in another country, in another part of town that is telling you if you can rent in your community because you didn't own your own property. So I'm here to bring you all the resources. Get approved, take one step. It's scary, it's hard. It's a 30-year mortgage, but guess what? In 30 years, it'll be paid off and it can be utilized for wealth, for retirement, for just next steps and next levels. Real estate has changed my life, so I am here as an advocate to help let it allow you to change your life as well. So tune in if you guys have any more questions. Enjoy the recording, and I look forward to servicing you and your clients. And if you guys don't follow me already, you can follow me at Loans by Natasha. Have a good evening.
Thank you. You too.
Natasha, how soon will the video be sent to us?
It's automated, so it's gonna come right after we end the call.
Okay, sounds
So
good.
you can get it right away.
Okay, thank you for that.
No worries. I'm making
right.
sure you have any more questions. I told Deborah the interest rate. Regina asked, how can we attend the class? So I'll send the link out for how you can register for the different classes. Some are in person and some are online. Lisa, targeted areas are depending on the address. So we have to look up each area. I looked a few up on the west side. I looked up 324 South Richmond, and that was in a track. So it's just going to depend on where they are. 72nd and Exchange was in the targeted area. So we just have to look them up for you. So you can email me those addresses and I can look them up for you. And that's it. So we will see you guys next time. Thank you so much for joining me.